Accountants record all monetary transactions that take place in the organization. Recording is done as and when the transaction take place. Accountants create large number of accounting heads like loans, plant and machinery, raw materials, salary, travel expenses, sales and many more. If a machine is purchased, accountant records this under plant and machinery. These accounts can be broadly classified under 5 headings. They are equity, liability, assets, income and expenses. Recording accounting transaction is fairly simple. Today they are mostly done by computers. Tally is the most popular accounting software used in India by many organizations. How accountant records transactions? Accountant use an accounting equation to record all kinds of transactions. The equation is assets are equal to liabilities plus equity. The equation is simple to understand. It says you raise money for your business or organization through loans and equity. The right hand side of the equation shows sources of funds. You use the funds to buy some assets required for your business. The left hand side of the equation shows application of funds. We can expand that accounting equation a bit more to include revenue and expenses. The difference of revenue and expense is profit or loss. Equity holders enjoys the profit or bear the loss. Revenue and expenses are therefore part of equity. Our expanded accounting equation is assets on the one side, liabilities, equity, revenue and expenses on the other side. We can expand our accounting equation further. For example, instead of writing assets, we can write all assets name on the left hand side of the equation like land, building, plant and machinery, raw material and many things. We can also expand on the right hand side of the equation to show different kinds of liabilities like loan, suppliers due, advance receipt from customers, tax payable and many other things. This equation also gives us an important accounting principle called double entry bookkeeping system. We will discuss double entry bookkeeping system after some time. Large listed companies provide annual report. Annual report contains many things including financial statements. Information that you normally find in the annual reports are information on board of directors, bankers, auditors and top management. You also find a report by the chairman and directors on the performance of the companies. One section of the director's report is management discussion and analysis. In MDA, management discusses the future outlook of the company. This is useful for analysts and investors to estimate the future earnings. MDA also provides performance of different business and geographical segments. Today, many companies are required to provide corporate governance report. Here the company provides details about various board committees and their meetings. You can observe how effective the board in conducting the business. There is one committee called Audit Committee. Audit Committee closely work with the internal and external auditors to assess whether the firm has a proper internal control system, whether accounting statements reflect true and fair view of the financial position of the company. You also find shareholders information including the promoters holding and the distribution of the shares. There is also another report from the auditor called auditor reports, and this certifies whether the accounting statement reflect true and fair view of the financial position of the company. Auditors sometimes also qualify their certification, pointing out inadequacies in accounting statement. In such cases, the management provides explanation for the queries raised by the auditor. The financial statement section consists of balance sheet, profit and loss account and cash flow statement. It also has the schedules that provide additional details related to financial statements. These schedules contain wealth of information about the financial position of the companies. Indian companies provide more information compared to companies in the developed market. You can get information about employees' cost, repairs, advertisement and many other cost items. You also find accounting policies used in preparation of a financial statement in these schedules. Consolidated financial statement is another useful information you will get from the annual report. Here financial statement of subsidiary companies are combined and presented together. Some companies might shift losses to the subsidiary companies and show a healthy financial position of the standalone company. Consolidated financial statement will show true position of the business as a whole. For example, for the year ending 2016 March, Tata Steel reports a profit of 4,900 crore from the Indian operations. On the other hand, the company reports a loss of 3,179 crore on a consolidated basis. It means the overseas operation is still incurring a loss. Another example is Hindalco. Hindalco shows a profit of 607 crore on its Indian operations. It shows a loss of 579 crore on consolidated basis. Both Tata Steel and Hindalco acquired large overseas business at the peak of the commodity market boom. Many companies provide annual report in their website. By reading few annual reports of companies in an industry and particularly the MDA section, we can get deeper understanding on the industry. For most businesses, profit is primary objective. In assessing financial health, the first thing we want to see whether the business is making profit. If we find positive figure in the profit and loss statement, we are happy. But we don't stop there. We are also interested in assessing the profitability of the business. The difference between the profit and profitability is similar to production and productivity. Profitability measures the productivity of the capital, like yield to measure the productivity of land, throughput to measure the productivity of the machines. Let us start our analysis by measuring how much we invested in the business and how much the business is returning to us. We face some challenges in defining these terms. Let us assume that we are a large company and we have a business unit in Goa. We define whatever we invest in Goa business is our investment. We also measure how much Goa business is generating profit to us. By making a ratio of these values, we get our first measure, that is called return on investment or ROI. Let us be a bit more precise in our definition. ROI is equal to profit before interest and taxes divided by total investment in the business. We are not bothered about who invested money in the business. It could be lenders or it could be shareholders. Therefore, our numerator should include both profit available to shareholders and lenders. We deliberately exclude taxes because the head of Goa business unit is not having any control on taxes. We will address taxes separately. An easy option is we assume that we live in a world of no taxes. It would be nice if we have such world in reality. All our investment in Goa will be in some form of assets. We can also define this ratio as return on total assets. The numerator is profit before interest and taxes and the denominator is a total asset. What is ROI or ROTA for Asian Paints for the year 2014-15? Asian Paints reported a profit before interest and taxes of 1,974 crore. Its total asset value is 7,273 crore. This gives us a ROTA of 27.14%. If we keep a printout of the balance sheet and income statement of Asian Paints in the available resources section, you can easily follow this lecture. You can pause this lecture for a moment and keep a copy of the printout. We will be extensively using the data to compute many ratios. After discussing all these ratios, we will also provide an Excel template. It will make life easy. You just need to enter the data from the balance sheet and income statement. All your ratios are ready and you need to analyze the same. Take a break and continue with the printout. We find ROTA of Asian Paint is 27.14% for the current year. Can you find out the ROTA for the last year, that is 2013-14? PBIT was 1738 crore and the total asset value is 6719 crore. ROTA or ROI for the last period is 25.87%. Asian Paints improved the ROTA from 25.87 to 27.14%. Let us fine tune this measure a bit more. Total asset is funded by three sources: shareholders fund, non-current liabilities and current liability. There is no explicit interest cost for the current liabilities. If you remove current liability from the total asset, we get capital employed. It is equal to shareholders fund plus non-current liabilities. It is also equal to non-current asset plus current assets less current liabilities. We can get this capital employed either way. Let us compute ROCE for the Asian Paints. In 2014-15, Asian Paint total asset is 7,273 crores and the current liabilities are 2,757 crore. It gives us a capital employed value of 4,515 crore. PBIT we already noted down, it is 1,974 crore. ROCE for the 2014-15 is 43.72%. Try what is the ROI of the previous year. You will find it was 44.75%. ROCE declined by 1%, but ROTA has increased by 1.3%. What is the reason for such contradiction? You will observe the company reduced its dependency on suppliers' credit. You will come across a ratio for this measure later. Overall, we find Asian Paint is a profitable company. Let us go a bit deeper into our analysis. What drives the profitability of a business? How Asian Paint is doing on these drivers? The two profit drivers at this level are asset management and cost management. That is, how efficiently the business uses its assets determine the one part of the profitability. How efficiently the business manages its costs determines the other part of the profitability. The third driver to the profitability is how efficiently the business manages the debt or the financial leverage. This is called leverage management. We have assumed earlier we live in a world of no taxes, but taxes are reality. Our last driver for profitability is tax management. A business can improve profitability by managing all four drivers. They are asset management, cost management, leverage management and finally tax management. Let us examine each driver and see how Asian Paint has performed under each driver. We identify four drivers to profitability. The first driver is asset management. We can measure productivity of the asset by taking a ratio of revenue to total asset. Here revenue includes revenue from business operation and other income. The reason is the denominator total asset includes investment in banks, mutual funds, bonds and equity. We need to ensure that our numerator and the denominator are consistent with each other. This ratio is called total asset turnover ratio. We already noted down total asset value of Asian Paint. It is 7,273 crore. Total revenue for Asian Paint is 11,835 crore. Total asset turnover ratio is 11,835 crore divided by 7,273 crore or 1.63. That is, every rupee invested in the business produces a revenue of 1.63. The asset turnover ratio for the last year is 1.58. Asian Paints improved its asset efficiency marginally during this year. We can drill down the total asset turnover ratio further. Total asset consists of fixed asset and current assets. We can compute separately fixed asset turnover ratio and current asset turnover ratio. Asian Paint has a tangible fixed asset worth of 1,886 crore. It also has some intangible asset worth of 79 crore. Together, the total asset value is 1,965 crore. We are not considering the capital work in progress here. They are yet to be used in the business. Our numerator also changes now. We consider only operating income. Revenue from sale of goods and services and other operating incomes are relevant here. We ignore other income here. Revenue earned by using the fixed asset is 11,648 crore. Our fixed asset turnover ratio now is 11,648 crore divided by 1,965 crore or 5.93. Last year it was 5.18. It is a good improvement. Let us move to current assets. Current asset consists of inventory, receivables, cash and bank balance. We have few more items in the current assets, but we are not sure how much is related to business. We are not considering the current investments because it is a surplus cash invested in the mutual funds, bonds and equity shares. If we add inventory, receivables and cash balance, we get a current asset worth of 2,592 crore. There is no change in the numerator. Our current asset turnover ratio works out to 4.49. Last year it was 4.2. Things are improving on both fixed asset and current assets. Let us drill down the current asset turnover ratio a bit more. The current assets consists of inventory, receivables and cash. Let us consider inventory turnover ratio first. We have some challenges relating to the numerator and denominator. The denominator is inventory. Inventories are valued normally at cost. If you place sales on the numerator, it includes profit. Sales on the numerator, inventory on the denominator will lead to inconsistency. One option is we consider cost of sales or total expenses. Total expenses for the year is 9,638 crore. Inventory value is 1,800 crore. Inventory turnover ratio is 9,639 divided by 1,802 or 5.35. There is an alternative way to represent the inventory turnover ratio. If we divide inventory by average expenses per day, we get inventory days. Average expenses per day is 9,638 crore, that is the total expenses, divided by 365 or 26.4 crore. Inventory value of 1,802 crore divided by 26.4 gives you an inventory days of 68 days. There is a shortcut to get this inventory days if we have already inventory turnover ratio, that is 365 divided by inventory turnover ratio of 5.35 gives us 68 days. Receivable turnover ratio is less complicated. The numerator is a sales and the denominator is a receivable, both as a profit element. Revenue from sale of goods and services is 11,485 crore. We have a receivables worth of 728 crore. Receivable turnover ratio is 15.76. Receivable turnover ratio is also called debtors turnover ratio. Collection days is equal to 365 divided by the receivable turnover ratio. It works out to 23 days. Asian Paint has 68 days of inventory and it takes another 23 days to collect the money from the customer. In the previous year, the inventory days were 70 days and collection days were 25 days. The company managed the current asset better during the year and reduced 4 days worth of a working capital. We can again break the inventory days into raw material days, work in progress days and finished goods days. Inventory schedule has all these values. You can try and compute these three values to see the breakup of 70 days. We can measure payable days similar to collection days. How long we take to pay our suppliers? Trade payables divided by average raw material consumption per day gives us payable days. Trade payables is 1,313 crore and we consumed total raw material worth of 6,191 crore. This gives us a payable days of 77 days. Last year it was 95 days. Asian Paint reduced the payable days by paying faster. This is the reason for reduction in the ROCE, because the company is using lesser amount of current liabilities. We can see the impact of this on the material cost also. Our overall impression on the asset management of Asian Paint is the company has managed its asset efficiently and improved its performance marginally. Efficiency improvement is seen in all components of assets. Let us move to cost management. This is another key profit driver. Let us now move to the application of funds or uses of funds. On the asset side of the balance sheet, you find two broad classifications: non-current assets and current assets. Non-current assets are further grouped under fixed asset and other assets. Fixed assets are used to manufacture goods or deliver services. Tangible fixed assets are physical assets like land, building and machines. Intangible fixed assets are assets which are not in a physical form, but used for producing or selling products or delivering services. Patent, copyright, brands and high end of a software are examples of intangible assets. Capital work in progress is the next item. It is assets which are acquired, but we are yet to put into use, or assets under construction. Let us examine the schedule that shows a fixed asset. The line items are different types of fixed asset like land, building, machine, and it includes intangible assets. On the column side, you find gross block, depreciation, impairment and net block. Gross block is nothing but original value of the fixed asset. It includes all expenses incurred in connection with bringing the asset to the operational condition: invoice price, duties, taxes, transport expenses, special foundation required for erecting this machine, interest paid on borrowed money till the asset put into use, travel expenses, boarding expenses of foreign technicians who came to configure the machine, trial run expenses, they are all included in the gross block. Gross block value is important. It is the amount which get depreciated over the years and charged to the profit and loss account. The term depreciation is related to tangible assets. If you buy an intangible asset like a brand, it is also charged to the P&L account over the years. We call this as a amortization. Suppose a telecom company pays spectrum fee to get license. It is amortized over a period of 15 to 20 years based on the license agreement. The next column is the impairment. Impairment is reduction in the value of asset due to extraordinary reasons. It is similar to depreciation. And the last column shows net block value of the asset. It is equal to gross block less depreciation and impairment. Under each block, you observe values at the beginning of the year, additions during the year, deductions during the year and value at the end of the year. If you buy a new asset, you will find an entry in the addition. If you sell an old asset, you will also see an entry under the deduction. Under depreciation, addition refers to current year depreciation, deduction refers to depreciation of asset which have been sold. An illustration will be useful to understand the fixed asset related entries. Suppose you buy a machine for 10 million. The useful life of the machine is estimated at 10 years. You will provide depreciation at the rate of 1 million per year. Suppose you sell the machine at the end of 6 years for 2.5 million. How entries are made? The first entry is simple: machine plus 10, cash in bank minus 10. Every year the entry for accumulated depreciation is plus 1, expenses minus 1. The entry is repeated for 6 years. At this point, your machine account will have a balance of 10 million and accumulated depreciation account will have a balance of 6 million. When the machine is sold, we need to reverse both entries. In addition, we got a cash of 2.5 million. This should also be recognized. The balance in the equation is profit or loss on sale of machine. Let us now try these entries. Machine minus 10 because the machine is going out. Cash and bank plus 2.5 because we are getting cash. These two entries are on the asset side. The net effect of the asset side is minus 7.5. On the other side, the entries are accumulated depreciation minus 6 and expenses minus 1.5. This makes the two sides equal. Expense of minus 1.5 is a loss on sale of fixed asset. That is, you bought an asset worth of 10 million, depreciated or got the benefit from the asset worth of 6 million. The balance book value of the asset is of 4 million. You sold this machine for a 2.5 million. The difference of 1.5 million is a loss on sale of machine. The other group of non-current assets are assets which are financial instrument or financial claims. Investment in subsidiary company equity shares is a non-current assets. Loans and advances given to others but recoverable after 1 year is a non-current other assets. An example is deposit with various government agencies. Let us now move to the current assets, which is the next group of items. Current assets are inventories, receivables, cash, anything that are likely to be converted into next form. Inventories consist of raw materials, work in process and finished goods. Valuation of inventory is one of the most important decisions in accounting. Inventories are valued based on the conservatism concept, that is, cost or market price, whichever is lower. The cost price depends on inventory accounting. Raw materials are purchased at different prices throughout the year. Finished goods value also vary due to different cost structure. There are different methods of inventory accounting used for computing the closing stock value. FIFO or first in first out, LIFO or last in first out, and weighted average methods are possible options. In the annual report of Asian Paints, you will find a section called Significant Accounting Policies. There you will find how inventories are valued. Asian Paint in its annual report 2014-15 states, in determining the cost of raw materials, packing materials, stock in trade, stores, spares, components and consumables, weighted average cost method is used. Asian Paint total asset is 7,273 crores. Of this, 3,104 crore is a non-current assets and the balance is 4,169 crore and it is current assets. Another 1,800 crore are in investments. Like many large companies, Asian Paint is also a cash rich company. There are few items that you will encounter in balance sheet. Deferred revenue expenditure is one such item. It is not there in the Asian Paint balance sheet. Suppose your company is doing some restructuring of businesses. To reduce the workforce, it offered voluntary retirement scheme or VRS. To incentivize the worker, your company also offered 10 lakh rupee per employee as an additional gratuity. How do we treat this in accounting? One option is cash minus 10 lakh and expenses minus 10 lakh for each employee. This will have an immediate effect on the profit of the year. We know the benefit of VRS or restructuring will happen in the future. Conservatism requires us to charge the expenses in the same year. But there is another concept, matching concept, that requires us to defer the expenditure over the years where the expenses are matched with the revenue. If we decide to defer the expenditure to the future, our entry is cash minus 10 lakhs per employee, deferred revenue expenditure on the asset side plus 10 lakh per employee. Like any other asset, a part of this asset value should be transferred or charged to the profit and loss account every year. Let us summarize our discussion on balance sheet. Balance sheet shows sources and uses of capital. Shareholders of Asian Paints invested 4,230 crore rupees. Long-term suppliers of capital provided 285 crore. Suppliers of goods and services and other short-term lenders have provided 2,758 crore. In all, Asian Paint has used 7,273 crore to run the business. On the application side, Asian Paint used 2,105 crore on fixed asset. In addition, it used
4,169 crore on current assets.
It may be difficult for us to discuss all terms that will normally appear in the balance sheet. We discuss most of the items. You can understand the other items by reading the notes attached to that item. Accounting is called language of business. It communicates financial position of the company. Language requires some rules and grammar. Accountants follow few concepts and conventions while preparing the financial statements. They are also called generally accepted accounting principle or GAAP. Let us review few important accounting concepts. The first one is the entity concept. Accountants treat business as independent of owners. If a firm pays personal expense of a owner, it is treated as a receivable from the owner. Our next accounting concept is a going concern concept. Accountant assumes business will continue in the future forever. Suppose a firm buys a machine having a 5 years life. Accountant spread this cost of the machine over 5 years on the assumption that the firm will continue for 5 years. Expenses like insurance paid in advance are also spread over a period of years. The next concept is a money measurement concept. Accountants record transactions only when it is measurable on monetary terms. For example, consumer satisfaction, production excellence, human resources, and many others are not recorded in the accounting statement because we cannot measure in monetary terms. The fourth concept is historical cost concept. Accountants generally ignore current market value of certain assets and record them as the historical cost value. The value of a machine or building may be different from the original value, but accountants ignore such changes and continue to show them as a historical cost. Large firms like Tata Steel would have thousands of assets. It would be less practical to assess current market value of these assets. It is convenient to show them at the historical cost. The cost is spread over the useful life of the asset based on the going concern concept. If the current market value is significantly lower than the historical value, it should be recognized. The most important accounting concept is a conservatism concept. Accountants recognize profit or gain or income only when there is a reasonable assurance for realizing the gain or income. Losses and expenses are recognized the moment there is some trace of it. Profits are understated under the conservatism. The next important concept is the matching concept. Accountants need to match all expenses related to an income. The idea is for every income we need to have a corresponding expenses accounted against that income. Raw material, employee cost, power and many other expenses incurred in the manufacturing process are accounted against the revenue for the period to the extent of the cost of goods sold. Let us consider slightly a complex example. Suppose a company provides a 3-year warranty for a product and the sales price is 5,000 rupees per unit. Cost associated with manufacturing the product is 3,000. If we account only this much as expense, that is the 3,000, our profit is a 2,000 per unit. But what about the expenses that we may incur in the future if the product is not working? One option is account these expenses, warranty expenses, as and when we incur in the future. If we do the accounting this way, we are violating the matching concept. The reason is there is no income against those future expenses. Those expenses are related to the income of the current period. Suppose we know that on average we may have to spend 600 rupees per unit towards warranty expenses over the next 3-year period. We can now create a provision for the warranty expenses for this 600 rupees. This is now charged against the revenue of the current period. It means our profit is now 1400, that is revenue of 5000, cost of manufacturing 3000 and provision for warranty expenses of 600. As and when we incur expenses on repair, we charge this provision account instead of revenue of the period. Suppose we spend 150 in year 2 towards repair. The accounting entry at the time of sales are cash plus 5000, sales plus 5000, cash minus 3000, expense minus 3000, provision for warranty minus 600, expense 600. This is our original entry. In year 2, when you spend 150 towards repair, our accounting entry is cash minus 150 because we are spending money, provision for warranty expenses plus 150. Here you note the income statement is not affected in year 2 on account of this repairs expenses. Next accounting concept is the accrual concept. Suppose you are selling goods or services on credit. You also recognize the revenue immediately without waiting for the collection of cash. You can justify your accounting on the basis of accrual concept. If you follow cash based of accounting, you will recognize the revenue only when you collect the cash. Accrual concept is also applied on the expenses. Suppose you have borrowed money from a bank. The bank requires you to pay interest only in the month of June and December. When you prepare a profit and loss account in March 31st, you need to find out the interest expenses related to January to March and show this amount as expense for the period. Our next concept is consistency concept. At times you may have different options in dealing with certain accounting issues. Suppose you purchase 1000 metric ton of a steel during the year at different prices. At the end of the year you find what is the value of the consumed quantity of the material. Let us say 920 metric tons has been consumed. Balance 80 metric ton is in your inventory. What is the value you will charge as a raw material expenses? You know the total purchase value of 1000 metric ton, but the purchases are made between 35,000 per ton to 40,000 per ton, different prices. If you have a closing stock value of 80 metric ton, then you can deduct the closing stock value from your total purchase to get the material consumed value. One simple option is use the average rate. Other options are valuing the closing stock based on the latest price or earliest price. These inventory accounting methods are called FIFO, that is first in first out, LIFO, last in first out, or weighted average method. Each one will give you a different material consumption and closing stock value. You can choose any one of them, but once you select the method, you need to follow the same every year. Consistency is important. Depreciation is another accounting issue where you need to be consistent in following the depreciation method. Our last accounting concept is a materiality concept. Expenses are broadly classified into capital expenditure, or popularly called CapEx, and revenue related expenditure. If you buy a machine, it is a capital expenditure. If you pay a salary or electricity bill, they are revenue related expenses. CapEx will initially appear in the balance sheet, and from there it will move to profit and loss account over a period of a time. If CapEx values are small and not material, then accountant can charge them directly as expense in the profit and loss account using this materiality concept. Suppose an airline buys a coat hanger or hotel buys a plates. They are capital expenditure strictly, but the value is very small. Accountant might charge this as expense of the period. Another example is a stationery purchase for office use. Stores might keep a track of physical accounting, but accountant will charge the entire purchase value as expense for the period. Accounting concept provide broad guidelines for accountant to record the transaction. There are additional regulations. International Financial Reporting Standards, called IFRS, is a recent development and it provides additional guidelines for the preparation of accounts. Standards are specific guideline or standardized guideline. Conservatism and accrual concepts are relevant while recognizing the revenue. How do you apply these two concepts to recognize the revenue of an infrastructure company which takes 3 to 5 years to complete the contract? Revenue recognition standard like IFRS 15 provides a detailed specific guideline on how revenue should be recognized under different situations. There are also regulations related to accounting under the Companies Act and Income Tax Act. Accountants need to be familiar with those regulations. By and large, all regulations are consistent with basic accounting concept. They are more specific or application of a general principle to a specific situation. We learned how to record accounting transactions and from there how to prepare financial statements. Now let us discuss more about financial statements. Financial statements summarize the accounting transactions. Balance sheet shows financial position of the business or organization as on a particular date. Profit and loss account shows the financial health of a business. The third financial statement called cash flow statement is relatively a recent one. The statement is a summary of a cash account of the business. All cash transactions related to business operation are grouped separately to show cash realized through business operation. Cash transactions related to financing and investing activities are grouped separately. Let us start with the balance sheet. The word balance in the balance sheet represents the two sides of the balance sheets are equal. Recall our accounting equation. Asset is equal to liability plus equity plus revenue minus expense. Balance sheet is prepared from this accounting equation. On the one side of the balance sheet, assets are listed. Other side of the balance sheet lists equity and liabilities. Equity also includes the difference between the revenue and expenses. It is called retained profit or reserves and surplus. You can easily understand why the two sides of the balance sheets are equal. Let us examine the balance sheet of a company. Equity and liability side of the balance sheet shows where from the business gets funds. The first item is a shareholders fund. It consists of share capital and reserves and surplus. The next group of item is a non-current liabilities. It refers to amount the company has to pay after 1 year. The last group lists current liabilities. These are the dues payable within 1 year period. It consists of suppliers due, short term loan and other payables. Asian Paints in 2014 and 15 uses 4,230.36 crores as shareholders money, 258.12 crore as a non-current liability and another 2,757.82 crore towards current liabilities. Overall, the company uses 7,273.2 crore worth of funds to run the business. The other side of the balance sheet shows where Asian Paint deployed this 7,273 crore in the business. It deployed about 3,104 crore on non-current assets. Non-current asset refers assets which are used in the business to generate revenue for several years. For example, machine is a non-current asset. The group consists of fixed assets and investment. We will discuss more about individual items next week. The next group of assets is the current assets. Items in the current assets include inventory, receivables, cash and few other things. They are current because they are likely to change its form from one asset to another asset. Today it is a raw material, few days later it is a finished goods, then it is receivable and finally cash. Asian Paint invested about 4,169 crore in current assets. Total non-current asset and current asset together is equal to 7,273 crore. This matches with the sources of funds. The balance sheet format is changed recently. Earlier, the two sides of the balance sheet are called sources of funds and application of funds. Our next financial statement is the income statement or profit and loss account. It shows operating results of the organization during the period. The period can be year or quarter or half year. Listed Indian companies have to give quarterly results. Profit and loss account shows sales, other income and details of expenses. It also provides material consumed, employee cost, other expenses, depreciation, interest and taxes. The statement also shows profit at different levels. Our last statement is a cash flow statement. It shows the movement of a cash during the period. It gives sources and uses of cash under three broad heads: cash flow from operating activities, cash flow from financing activities and cash flow from investing activities. This statement is difficult to fudge. Investors and analysts compare profit shown under the profit and loss account and cash flow from operation to get some insight on the quality of the profit reported in the profit and loss account. We will discuss more about the use of the cash flow statement next week. Our accounting equation has 5 terms. They are fundamental accounting terms. We need to understand these terms a bit more than what they normally convey. Our first accounting term is asset. Assets are economic resources that are capable of generating a stream of future revenues. Examples of assets include plant and machinery, furniture, raw material, investments in bonds and equity shares, cash and many other things. Assets are normally tangible, but there are exceptions. Technical know-how, patent, trademark are also assets. They are intangible assets. They also play a role in generating future revenue. Assets that appear in the financial statements are normally owned by the company. Here also there are exceptions. Suppose you acquire an asset through a long-term lease. You are not the owner of the asset legally during this lease period. Today, accounting regulations require you to treat these assets or also as asset. Some large expenditure whose benefit is likely to be realized in future is also treated as asset. Examples of such assets are major expenditure on information technology to develop a new software or business restructuring expenses. These are few exceptions. Most items shown on the asset side are tangible and owned by the company. The next accounting term is liabilities. Liabilities are financial obligations of the firm to outsiders. There is no need for company to have liabilities. Many organizations like Infosys are debt free. There are also many others who borrow heavily. Many companies acquire resources through loans or on credit. Bank loan is something very common in most companies. Similarly, materials are acquired through credit purchases. There are several reasons for the companies to acquire resources on credit terms. It may not be possible to raise equity always. Equity finance is also costlier than other sources of finance. You may disagree and argue equity has no cost. We will discuss this part later. When you borrow money or buy a material on credit, you know how much to pay. In few cases, we need to estimate the liabilities. Take an example like retirement benefit. It is paid at the time of retirement, but the liability accrues every year when an employee completes the service of that year. accounting requires you to estimate future retirement payment and show this as a liability. Liabilities are of several types. Some of them are long term and others are short term. Those that are to be discharged beyond 1 year period are classified as a long term. Liabilities which are to be paid within 1 year are classified as a short term liability. Our third accounting term is a equity. Equity represents owner's wealth. In the company form of organization, owners are called shareholders. Shareholders bring equity share capital when they start the business and periodically when required. Every year they contribute fresh capital in the form of allowing the management to retain a part of the profit available to them. Such retained profit is called retained earnings or reserves and surplus. Equity or shareholders' wealth or shareholders' fund can be defined as owner's claim against or interest in the company. Naturally, they can claim the assets only after discharging all liabilities, including estimated liabilities. We can rearrange our accounting equation to show shareholders' equity is equal to assets less liabilities. Our fourth accounting term is revenue. Revenues are income generated when a firm sells goods or services. Revenue increases the shareholders' wealth. Revenue need not be realized in the form of a cash immediately. Accounting transactions are recorded or recognized on accrual basis. Recognizing revenue is one of the challenging tasks for many accounting managers in certain cases. For instance, a software company undertaking a large project running for 3 years, or a construction company building an irrigation dam or a power project. These are special cases. Accounting standards helps the accountant to recognize some reasonable value as a revenue based on the amount of work completed. Our last accounting term is expenses. Expenses are incurred in the process of generating revenue. Expenses are incurred for manufacturing, selling, general administrative purposes. Manufacturing expenses are incurred to produce the goods. Assets when used become expense. One good example is a depreciation. As and when assets are used, the company charges depreciation based on the usage of asset. It reduces owner's wealth. After shareholders fund, you have a bunch of items under liabilities. Liabilities have two components. Non-current liabilities are due to payment after 1 year. In Asian Paints balance sheet, there are 4 items listed under non-current liabilities. The first one is a long-term borrowing, and it is easy to understand. It can be a loan or similar to loan. In this case, it is not a loan. The company receives sale tax concession from 2 state governments for putting up their plant in the states. The state government allowed the company to collect the sale tax, but retain them instead of depositing with the government. The company has to pay the amount collected at the end of the concession period. The second item is a deferred tax liability. It is equal to tax that we have to pay, but we are deferring to the future date. That too legally under the tax laws. How is it possible? This is mainly on account of different methods of depreciation. For accounting purpose, we follow a method of depreciation called straight line method. Suppose we are buying a machine for 30 lakhs and we expect this machine will have a useful life of 15 years. We charge 2 lakh rupee as a depreciation for computing the profit. Tax authorities gives us an option to charge 15%. That is, you can charge 4.5 lakh rupee in the first year. In the second year, the depreciation is 15% of 30 lakhs less 4.5 lakhs of first year depreciation. Will you take the offer or continue to show the depreciation for 2 lakh and pay tax on that basis, which is slightly higher? We will take this offer, recompute the profit and pay less tax. The difference between tax payable under the first method, which is slightly higher, and the tax actually paid under the second method, which is slightly lower, is called deferred tax liability. It is not a permanent saving, but deferred to future. The two method of depreciation mentioned here is called straight line method and written down value method. The third item is other long term liabilities. It includes amount collected from dealers and other customers. They are repayable when the dealers terminate the contract. The last item in this section is the provisions. Provisions are estimated future liability. An example of provision is employee retirement benefits. Gratuity is payable when the employee retires, but the liability accrues or adds up every year of his service. We need to estimate this liability and charge the profit and loss account as expenses. We are not paying this amount now. Therefore, the other entry is under liability as a provision. The accounting entry is expenses minus liabilities provision plus. The next group of items are current liabilities, which are payable within 1 year. It has 4 items in the Asian Paint balance sheet. The first one is a short term borrowing. It is easy to understand. The second one is a trade payables. It is the amount payable to suppliers of goods and services. The other current liabilities and provisions are similar to earlier one. The only difference is they are payable within 1 year. For example, provision includes provision for payment of taxes. When you refer balance sheet of different companies, you will find several new items. You can understand them if you follow overall structure of the balance sheet and going through the notes attached to each item. The traditional method of learning this part is through debit and credit. We are not going to do that. That will take good amount of our time. Our objective is not to get into the preparation of accounting statement, but to know how to get the benefit from the financial statements. Still, if you understand how accounting system works, it will give some confidence in dealing with the subject. We will use our accounting equation to show how accounting transactions are recorded. Today in this computer age, machine will not understand debit and credit. It can understand only plus and minus. We are going to learn accounting in this way. Let us start a company and run a business for few days notionally. Let us create few accounting transactions and learn how to record the same. Once the transactions are recorded, we can prepare a financial statement. We will use our accounting equation, that is asset is equal to liability plus equity plus revenue minus expense. Let us set up the accounting equation in an Excel sheet. In the first column, let us provide the transaction details. Column 2 will show the name of the asset. We need to know the name of the asset when we prepare a financial statement. Column 3 shows asset value. Column 4 is a blank. Let us use this place to put equal sign. Column 5 and 6 shows the liability name and the liabilities value. Column 7 is for equity. Column 8 and 9 are revenue name and revenue value. And finally, we have two columns 10 and 11. They are for expense account name and expense value. We need to have the name column because after few transactions, we will not be able to recollect the accounting hint related to that value. You will now see how easy to record the accounting transaction. Suppose a few of us jointly promote a trading company on January 1st of this year to buy and sell few consumer durable items. We contribute 1 lakh rupee each and we are 30 people. This is called share capital. Received equity capital is the transaction details. Let us enter 30 lakhs under the equity column. The equation now fails. We have 30 on the right hand side and 0 on the left hand side. This is not allowed. We have 30 lakh cash with us. Let us enter 30 lakhs under the asset column and write down the name as cash and bank. The equation now holds good. We now approach a bank for a loan. The bank, based on our requirement, gives a loan of 20 lakhs at 12% interest. We need to pay interest at the end of every month. Under the transaction column, we write bank loan obtained. Under the liability column, let us write bank loan and 20 lakhs. Again the equation fails. On the right hand side, we have a 50 lakhs total. On the left hand side, we have only 30 lakhs. But the loan amount is given to us and it is in our bank account. Now we enter 20 lakhs under the asset column and write cash and bank under the asset name. The equation now holds good. By now you will realize we record every transaction in two places to ensure our equation holds good. That is the reason we call this as a double entry bookkeeping system. The two entries can be opposite side of each other or on the same side with a different sign. Let us move on further. Now we find a place for our showroom and pay 5 lakh rupee towards refundable advance. The rent for the showroom is 1 lakh rupee per month and payable by 5th of the following month. While we need to record the showroom rent advance, we do not need to record the agreement to pay the rent of 1 lakh at this point of time. Advance is treated as an asset because it is refundable. We first enter cash and bank minus 5 lakh because we are making the payment and our cash balance declines. We also get a new asset called advance or rent advance with a positive value of 5 lakh. In this transaction, both entries are on the left hand side, but with a different sign. The equations are preserved. Suppose we want to know how much cash we have. We add up all the cash values related to the cash column and show that our cash balance is 45 lakhs. That is, we collected cash of 30 lakhs through equity, 20 lakhs through loan, but we spent 5 lakh towards a rent advance. We spent another 5 lakh towards furniture for our showroom. Furniture is an asset. We enter again cash minus 5 lakh and furniture plus 5 lakh. Now cash value comes down again as we spend money. Let us do some business. We purchase consumer durables worth of 60 lakhs. We pay 30 lakhs in cash and agree to pay balance 30 lakhs in 60 days time. Our accounting entries are cash minus 30, inventory plus 60. These two are on the asset side. The net balance on the asset side is plus 30, that is inventory plus 30 and cash minus 30. We enter payable plus 30 under the liability, which is on the other side of the equation. These entries result in increase of 30 on the asset side and also increase in 30 on the liability side. The equation is now maintained. We entered the data in three places. It is not triple entry bookkeeping system. Actually, we have two transactions. The first transaction is purchase of 30 lakh worth of inventory by paying cash. Our second transaction is another purchase of 30 lakhs worth of inventory through credit. We can record these two transactions separately as inventory plus 30, cash minus 30, and again inventory plus 30, payable plus 30. Since the inventory appears twice, we added them. This resulted in 3 entries. Let us do some sales. During the month, we are able to sell 40 lakhs worth of goods for 50 lakhs. Of this, we collected 30 lakhs in cash and remaining 20 lakhs will be collected after 30 days. Our accounting equation is now a bit lengthy. We need to understand these entries and break them into smaller components before we record them. First, let us record the transaction related to goods worth of 40 lakhs going out of our shop. The entry is inventory minus 40 because inventory is going out and expenses minus 40. Both right hand side and left hand side have the same negative value of 40 lakh. Our second transaction is a sales transaction. It again has a two transaction, that is cash sales worth of 30 lakhs and another credit sales worth of 20 lakhs. We can combine them and treat them as a single transaction, or we can separately enter the two transaction. Let us enter them separately to have a clarity. The entry for the first transaction is cash plus 30, sales plus 30, and for the second transaction, receivable, which is under asset column, plus 20 and sales plus 20. We have a sales of 50 lakhs and cost of sales is at 40 lakh, and therefore, our gross profit margin is 10 lakh. Our manager now informs that we have paid 2 lakh rupees as salary, another 2 lakh rupees for advertisement and 1 lakh rupees towards rent. We record these transactions as cash minus 5 lakh and under the expenses salary minus 2 lakhs, advertisement another 2 lakhs and rent 1 lakh minus 1 lakh. Though interest is not payable at the end of this 1 month, we realize that we need to make a provision for the same. The reason is we have used the loan funds to do our business. Computation for profit without considering the interest will not give a correct picture. We call this an accrual concept. We are going to discuss many of these concepts later. We also call our accounting as an accrual method of accounting. The accounting entry for the interest is, that is the provision for interest is, interest payable 0.2 lakhs under the liability and interest expense as minus 0.2 lakhs under the expenses. Both entries are on the right hand side, one with a positive sign and the other one is a negative sign. We also paid an interim dividend of 1 lakh. Our entries are cash minus 1 lakh and under the expenses minus 1 lakh. We can continue our exercise with several transactions and enter them in this accounting equation. You can also try a couple of more accounting entries yourself. Normally, I ask students to tell few more accounting entries in the class. I ask them to think some complex accounting transaction and show them how we can enter each transaction. In many sessions, students ask me how to enter bad debts, that is customer not paying the amount. It is very easy. How do you enter a credit sales of 40 lakhs? We put sales plus 40, receivables plus 40. Suppose we collected 38 lakhs. Our accounting entry is cash plus 38 lakhs and receivables minus 38 lakhs. Suppose the balance 2 lakh is not receivable. The person to whom we supplied goods is not traceable. We now decide to write off this amount from our books of accounts as bad debts. Why should we write off? Otherwise, we will be showing 2 lakh rupee as receivable on the asset side. It is no more asset. We can't give a wrong picture about our financial health. We need to remove this asset from the books. We can't take an eraser and remove it or delete an Excel row. We can remove the asset by reversing the accounting entry. Our original sales entry related to this 2 lakh is receivable plus 2 lakhs, sales plus 2 lakhs. We need to reverse this entry as receivables minus 2 and expenses minus 2. Our receivable value is now 0. You may now ask what will happen if the person turns up and pays that amount. That is good. Accounting entry is also simple. Cash plus 2 lakhs because we get the money, expenses plus 2 lakh. That is, we are just reversing our previous write-off entry Actually, we do not enter bad debt entries like this. We will discuss actual entries later, but this approach would be useful for us to understand the mechanics. Another entry which is of general interest to the student is sales return. Many e-commerce companies like a Flipkart today allows you to return the goods if you are not happy with that. The original sales entry has to be reversed now, that is sales minus cash minus. When explaining various accounting concepts, we will be often using this accounting equation at a later point of time. Let us now go back to our Excel and prepare a financial statement. So far we recorded the statement. Now we need to use this recording to prepare a financial statement. First let us prepare an income statement or profit and loss account. We need to pick up the values from the revenue and expenses to prepare the income statement. Our sales is 50 lakhs. Our expenses are cost of sales of 40 lakhs, salary of 2 lakh, advertisement of 2 lakh and rent of 1 lakh and interest payable 20,000 or 0.2 lakhs. Our total expense is 45.2 lakhs. Our profit before tax is 4.8 lakhs, that is 50 lakhs revenue, 45.2 lakh expenses gives you 4.8 lakh profit. Let us assume there is no tax to keep our exercise simple. We paid 1 lakh rupee as a dividend. If we deduct the dividend, we retain profit worth of 3.8 lakh in our business. This is called reserves and surplus. Let us now prepare balance sheet of this company. Balance sheet has two sides. On the one side we have a liabilities and equity, and other side we have asset. First let us complete equity and liability. Our original equity is 30 lakhs. We retained a profit of 3.8 lakhs and it is also equity. Equity means owner's capital. We as a owners invested 30 lakhs and we allowed the business to retain our 3.8 lakhs inside the business. This makes our total equity as 33.8 lakhs. Let us now list down our liabilities. We have totally 3 liabilities. Our bank loan of 20 lakhs is a one liability. We also need to pay to our suppliers for 30 lakh rupees and we have an interest payable of 0.2 lakhs. Our total liabilities is 50.2 lakhs. Our equity plus liability together is 84 lakhs. Let us move to the other side, asset side of the balance sheet and list down the assets. We have a furniture worth of 5 lakhs. We also have a rent deposit worth of 5 lakhs. Our receivables is worth of 20 lakhs. We also have an inventory worth of 20 lakhs. We purchased inventory worth of 60 lakhs but sold 40 lakhs and therefore we have another 20 lakhs with us. Our next asset item is a cash and bank balance. This is slightly difficult to get this value. We need to cull out all cash transactions and find the balance. Let us go back to our accounting entries and pick up all cash items. Our cash inflow includes 30 lakh worth of equity, 20 lakh worth of a loan, collection from a customer worth of 30 lakhs. Our total cash collection is 80 lakhs. Our cash outflow includes 5 lakh rupees worth towards rent advance. We also purchased 5 lakh rupees worth of a furniture. We pay to our suppliers worth of 30 lakhs. Salary, rent and advertisement all put together is 5 lakh. And finally dividend of 1 lakh. If you add up all these things, our total cash outflow is 46 lakhs. Our cash and bank balance is 34 lakhs, that is 80 lakh rupees inflow, 46 lakhs outflow, that gives you 34 lakhs as a balance value. The total asset side is also now equal to 84 lakhs. This consists of furniture of 5 lakhs, inventory of 20 lakhs, rent advance of 5 lakh, receivables of 20 lakhs, cash balance of 34 lakhs. The total is 84 lakhs. This way we achieved balancing both sides of the equation. Our liabilities and equity is now equal to asset. Let us start our discussion with the balance sheet. Balance sheet has two sides. On the one side, you will see the sources of funds, and on the other side you will see application of funds. The sources of funds side of the balance sheet contain three broad sections: shareholders fund, non-current liabilities and current liabilities. Shareholders fund refers to owner's equity or profit retained. Non-current liabilities are related to loans and other liabilities payable after 1 year. Current liabilities are amount payable to suppliers of goods or services, short-term borrowings and all liabilities payable within 1 year. Let us discuss more on shareholders fund. This section of a balance sheet consists of share capital and reserves and surplus. Under share capital, you will see several items. The first item is called authorized share capital. If you are starting a company, you need to follow a process outlined under the Companies Act or corporate law of the country to register a company. Memorandum of Association is a document which consists of several details about the company and submitted to the Register of Company along with the registration fee. The document consists of several clauses in which you need to mention the name of the company, location of the company, business that company is going to carry out and many other things. One of the details of Memorandum of Association is capital that you intend to raise. The number of shares and value that you entered here is called authorized capital. When your company gets registered, the Register of Companies called ROC authorizes you to issue share capital up to this value. Since the registration fee depends on the authorized capital, you will place a value that is required for you in next 3 or 5 years. Once your business has grown up and you need more capital, you can increase this value by placing a request with ROC. You will not normally issue the entire authorized capital. The issued capital represents the share capital that you have issued. For example, if your authorized capital is 200 million and you need only 60 million immediately, you can issue 6 million shares at 10 rupee per share. Suppose your project will take longer time to complete and you need funds in a phased manner to execute the project. You can issue only 6 million shares of 10 each, but you can call only 4 rupee per share. Here called up share capital is 24 million, that is 6 million shares at 4 rupee per share. Paid up share capital refers to actual amount you have collected. The paid up value is lower than called up if few shareholders are not paid the amount when they are called up to pay the amount. You may ask, what will happen? There is a separate legal and accounting process to handle such situation. You have observed the word limited or LTD at the end of every company name, like Infosys Limited, Tata Motors Limited. The term limited has a relationship with the share capital. If you purchase a share of 10 rupee each and the company called only 6 rupee, your liability is limited to 4 rupee, that is unpaid amount. If the company after collecting 6 rupee failed and have to pay a huge amount to the bank and other creditors, then the lenders can ask you to pay 4 rupee. You are liable to pay this amount. Your liability is limited to unpaid amount of the share capital. If you have paid full 10 rupee, you are not liable for anything if the company fails in its business. Limited here means the liability of the shareholder is limited to unpaid amount of a share capital. Share capital is of two types: ordinary equity share capital and preference share capital. Preference share capital owners get a fixed dividend like a debt holders, but they cannot demand the dividend if the company is not doing well. They get preference over equity holders on all matters. Equity holders can be rewarded only after paying the dues to the preference shareholders. Preference share capital is not popular at this point of time in India. You might have read companies issuing bonus shares. Bonus shares means issuing additional shares to the existing shareholder without collecting money. If a company is doing well, its stock prices increases. For example, MRF stock price is about 50,000 in November 2016. After seeing a fascinating advertisement, if he decides to buy, 100 MRF stocks, you need to invest 50 lakh rupees. It affects the liquidity of the stocks. Suppose you are holding 1 share of MRF and the company issues a bonus share of 1:1. You will get 1 share free of cost. There is no change in the value of business due to bonus shares. The stock price will now be around 25,000. Your wealth earlier is a 50,000. It continues to be 50,000 now. The only difference is, instead of 1 share of 50,000, you have 2 shares of 25,000 each now. Companies like Asian Paints issued bonus shares periodically. During last 2 decades, Asian Paint issues 6 bonus shares. Suppose you had 500 shares in 1985 and you have invested 15,000 rupees in Asian Paints, you would be holding today 9,200 shares as on March 2015, and your wealth now is nearly 740 lakhs. Reading the financial statement like Asian Paints is fascinating. You will see how this company creates value for its shareholders. Stock split is another term closer to the bonus shares. Actually, the purpose of both bonus shares and stock split is the same. In stock split, the face value of the share is reduced, but you get new shares. Suppose MRF decide to split the stock from 10 rupee to 1 rupee. It means your earlier 10 rupee share will get cancelled and you will get 10 shares of 1 rupee each. The MRF stock prices will now decline from 50,000 to 5,000. This improves liquidity. Remember, there is no change in your wealth. When the company issues the bonus shares or a stock split, it also communicates that it is doing well. This information content will have some positive effect on the stock prices. The second item in the shareholders fund is reserves and surplus. It is equal to the profit earned but not distributed to the shareholders. A part of the profit of every year is distributed as a dividend and another part is transferred to the reserves. This is reserves part of a reserves and surplus. Balance profit is retained in the profit and loss account. It is a surplus part of the reserves and surplus. There are 2 types of reserves. Reserves coming out of profit is called revenue reserve. The other reserve is called capital reserve. An example of capital reserve is revaluation of asset. For example, if a company buys a piece of land for 10 lakh rupees, the accounting entry is that land plus 10, cash minus 10. After few years, the value of a land price is increased to 300 lakhs. It now decides to revalue the land. The accounting entry is simple, land plus 290. What is the second balancing entry? Because we need to have 2 entry. The other entry is capital reserve plus 290 under the equity column. We can't post this entry or increase in land value under revenue. The reserve is created directly without coming through the profit and loss account. Therefore, it is called capital reserve. Another example of capital reserve is issuing shares at a premium. Suppose your company is issuing a 10 rupee share for 500. The accounting entry is cash 500 plus share capital plus 100 and capital reserve is 490. There is a general misunderstanding when one reads reserves and surplus. Many of you may think reserves are in the form of a cash. It is not correct. A company with a strong reserve may have a severe cash crunch. A reserve is a source of funds. It is applied on the asset side. It can be in any form. It need not be in the cash form.